Reece, first of all, this is the first time we've spoken to you since you won the Champions League. Just talk us through what the last few weeks have been like for you, and what has it been like coming into this England camp and meeting up with some of those Manchester City players you beat in the final?
The last few weeks have been very hectic. We've had a lot of games and massive games as well. We was fighting for top four as well in the Premier League, and we got that because we won the Champions League. But now coming here, you kind of need to step away from club rivalry. We had Man City in the final, but when we come here, we're a collective team, and we kind of push it aside, and we're one team here, and we need to work together.
We saw Harry Maguire back training today. How much of a boost is it to have him back, and what does he add to the side when he plays?
No, I think we all know how much of a key player he is in this squad, and you can see how big of an influence he has when he didn't play in the Europa League final. So it's obviously great to see him back on the training field today, and hopefully he's back soon.
England have so many good players in your position, so many right backs. In the old days, the England right back always just seemed to be Gary Neville. Now there's so many world-class players fighting for that shirt. What do you think has changed? Is it just the quality of the players coming through, or has the role changed as well?
Yeah, I think definitely the position's changed slightly. Maybe before 15, 20 years ago, maybe he was more of a defender, but now the position's kind of adapted, and you have the license to go forward as well. You can kind of do both, attack and defend. But yeah, as you said, there's loads of great players in my position. Obviously Trent pulled out, and there's so many others that didn't get selected as well.
We've heard in the last few days from Phil Foden and Jack Grealish, and they were talking about when they grew up, they looked up to players like Paul Gascoigne, players like Wayne Rooney. I was just wondering, when you were growing up, who were the England players that you looked up to? I mean, like, for instance, did you want to be the next Gary Neville?
No, because when I was young, I wasn't a right back. I was always a striker, but I always looked up to probably Frank Lampard because he played for the club I always supported, and Ashley Cole as well, similar. So I always kind of supported the boys and looked up to the boys that played for the team I supported.
Thanks, Kave. Okay, we'll take a couple now on Zoom, starting with James Savundra from TalkSport.
Reece, you've played a few times this season with Chelsea as a third centre-back. How did that come about, and how did you find it? And how did the challenges playing there compare to playing just as a right wing-back with a five-man defence?
I played right side centre back many times coming through in the academy, so the position wasn't new to me. But yeah, as you said, the position is much different to wing back. You're kind of a defender. You can't really go forward like wing back. You have the license to push on and join in attacks, but defend right side of a free. You're kind of limited to where you can go and what you can do.
You spoke before about how you looked up to Ashley Cole when you were a youngster. What did you like about him in particular, and have you had any conversations with him at all since he's been at Chelsea coaching with the youth teams?
Yeah, me and him speak nearly every week. He's probably one of the best left backs to play the game as well. And even though he was a left back, the position is basically the same. Just on the other side. So yeah, he helps me a lot progressing.
Thanks, James. Next we'll go to Kerry Brown from beIN Sports.
Reece, you're 21, you've just won a Champions League final. Can you apologise to the rest of the nation for making us feel inadequate, please?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't really know what to say to that. I didn't really expect to win it this young. There's so many great players that will never have the chance to win the trophy, so to win it so young, I'm over the moon and grateful.
Probably no surprise, considering your dad had you out on a football pitch from the age of 3 and 4. Can you tell us about the fact, is it true that he had you practicing hand-eye coordination in the dusk as it got dark? Is that true?
Yeah, my dad has played a massive part in me getting to where I am. He's done very well with my sister as well. But yeah, you can't get good at anything without putting in a lot of hours of practice and hard work.
Of course, you went into the Chelsea Academy at a very young age with Mason Mount. Were you with him when he was looking through the clips of Luka Modric?
Yeah. I mean, Mason, I played with him since I was 8 or 9 years old, and coming through with someone has always been a dream. To break through, but to break through with a crop of players as well is even better. And yeah, it's great to see so many other young players coming through as well.
I want to take you back to Chelsea, Real Madrid, Stamford Bridge, and Mason and Luka had face-to-face with each other. So much at the end, Luka Modric asked for his shirt and wished him good luck in the final. What was your interpretation of how he coped so well with Modric in that game?
I think Mason's performances this season kind of speak for themselves. I don't really need to big him up or say anything. I'm pretty sure everyone has their own opinion on how well he's been playing. But yeah, I think a player the likes of Luka Modric asking for his shirt has shown how far he's come since when he first broke into the first team.
And for the three, for you two and with Tammy, it was a really wonderful moment being with you pitch side with your dad and your sister coming to the pitch, now going into a Euro opening match against the semi-finalists in the World Cup. And you're coming up against Kovacic that says he's telling everyone your secrets, how he can beat you all. What's your message to him?
No, I mean, I know how he plays as well, so I'm sure I'm going to tell the lads what he likes to do and what he doesn't like to do. But yeah, as you said, we're coming up against a very strong side. They came, there was semi-finals in the World Cup final. We know it's going to be a tough game, and we need to prepare right, and everyone needs to remain focused and give everything.
I was lucky enough to just be on the flanks as you were bombing down the Porto pitch, and it was remarkable. You were taking on Foden, and you were faced with Kevin De Bruyne. I mean, the people that you had to encounter time and time again. Those are two of the top world-class players, the players expected to be the biggest names in this tournament. How much has that performance built your confidence going into this?
Yeah, I think obviously winning the Champions League final and playing against such a high-quality team and coming away with the win is going to boost anyone's confidence. But I think doing it against the Premier League champions, gives you a bit more of a boost as well. So it's great going into this tournament.
Thanks, Kerry. We'll go back to Zoom with Jerry Cox from Haters.
Hi, Reece. How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
You mentioned Frank Lampard earlier. He gave way to Thomas Tuchel at Chelsea, and then you've worked with Gareth Southgate as well this season. How would you say your game has developed as your year has gone on? Because obviously it's quite a difference in sort of coaching methods, isn't it?
Yeah, I think at the start of the season we had Frank Lampard, and I was very lucky to play a majority of the games under him. But I mean, when our new manager came in, our style of play changed and formation changed as well. So the first few games I found myself out of the team and not playing. So that was quite difficult to deal with. But I had to adapt and learn, and it's hard when a new manager comes in mid-season. I've never had it before, so it was a good learning curve for me as well.
And obviously you've got a lot of your Chelsea teammates you could come up against in the Euros. There's some great players there as well. You mentioned Kovacic, but also N'Golo Kante and Timo and Kai Havertz. If you could just pick one of them to join you in the England team, which one would it be?
N'Golo Kante.
And the reason?
Pardon?
And why N'Golo? What is it about him?
Because he's one player, but he covers 3 players. He runs so much and works so hard. He's such a key player in our team.
Thanks, Jerry. Next, go to Steve Scott from ITV.
Hi. You've already spoken about how flexible you can be across the back and the positions you've played. I just wondered, and I know it's early in the camp, how many different positions has Gareth played you in training so far?
Probably the positions you could guess, wing back, centre back, and right back. I've played all 3 so far. So I don't really know what's going to happen or what position I might feature in.
You mentioned Lauren already. Now, most brothers and sisters probably grow up bickering with each other, but I guess you had something in common in football. Do you talk about football a lot with her now? And does she look at your games and lend a critical eye and tell you how she thinks you could improve or what you did well?
Yeah, I think, we always try to get the better out of each other. If I ever get the chance to watch her play, I always tell her on where I think she can still get better. But to be fair, when I play, she doesn't really have too many things to criticise me about. She doesn't really tell me if she thinks I could have done anything different.
Thanks, Steve. Next we'll go online to Matt Reed from Kick.
Hi, Reece.
Hi.
Traditionally, players are kind of divided into four sections. There's the goalkeepers, defenders, midfielders, and strikers. The position that you play, especially as a wing-back, where would you say it deserves to be ranked? Where should it more naturally be ranked in the modern game? Because you do seem to appear up in the final third of the pitch quite often.
I think wing-back is still a defender. Your first priority is to defend, and then going forward is the second option. So I'd still rank it as a defender, even though I'm building and joining in attacks.
Fair enough. Cheers, man.
Thanks, Matt. Back in the room with Nat Perks from BBC.
Hiya.
Hi.
You said earlier that you walked in and you put club rivalry aside. But are you really telling us that you didn't have a bit of a swagger when you walked into camp?
It's hard to say, obviously not many people win the Champions League, but I knew coming here, we just played against City, and they're not obviously going to be happy with the result, but no, we kind of had to be a bit humble with it. We couldn't boast and rub it in, we just had to accept it. We know we won, and now we're here, we're together, we're as a team, and we've got a massive tournament ahead, and we need to fight together.
Gareth wrote an open letter to England fans saying that he speaks to you guys about how this is your opportunity to produce moments that people will remember forever. You're in a bubble here, but how much do you think about what this means to a nation of sports lovers?
Yeah, I think now is probably the best chance we've ever had to achieve something so big in a tournament. We've got so many great players and so many players that have won titles and won many major honours. So I think we definitely have a good enough team to go all the way in this tournament, and I don't see why we can't.
You did a really cute how it started versus how it's going the other day on social. If you could go back and say something to that kid who loved football, about where you are right now in your career, what would you tell him?
I'd probably just tell him to work hard. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs along the way in football. It doesn't always go the way you want it to. You're going to have many setbacks, but you've got to remain focused and know what your end goal is.
And finally, Jayden shamed Jude on his socials yesterday for his basketball skills. What games are you playing with each other in there? Have you got any leagues going? Who's rubbish? Who's brilliant? Can you give us some insight?
No, there's no leagues. There's a few different games. As you saw, the basketball, there's table tennis, pool, darts. And yeah, everyone just gets on, all of them, and we're playing in the evenings.